Disdainful Stroke. Cool card. Yara Mirror Lake enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add blue. For 2 green, green, blue, tap, sacrifice Yara Mirror Lake. You can create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. What is that? 5 plus a sack, so like 6 mana, kind of. 6 mana, copy a creature. There's other ones that are better than that, right? Arachnoform. 1 green, enchantment aura, +2/+2, has reach, and is every creature type. Shapeshifter aura. Bad, but cool card. Glorious Guardian. 2 white, white, creature, angel, cleric, flash, flying. 4 mana, flash, flying, 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, exile any number of target non-angel creatures you control until Glorious Guardian leaves the battlefield. Any number of target non-angel creatures. What? Restoration Angel. But I mean, it's not Flicker though. They don't come back into play until this thing dies. I don't know, guys. It's 4 mana Midnight Reaper in it. Exclamation mark Moth, by the way. Seems good? Nah, it's shit. 1 mana too expensive. Finn the Fangbearer. 1 green, human warrior. 2 mana, 1/3, Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. A player with 10 or more poison counters loses the game. Death Touch Tribal. And this thing means you only have to hit them 5 times. Seems shit. That card seems shit, and honestly, Death Touch Tribal seems shit by itself anyway. Battle Mammoth, but we've already seen this card. Ravenous Lindworm, 4 green green. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. Yup. Grizzled Outrider, 5 mana, 5/5. Cool. Return upon the Tide, 5 mana sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it's an elf, create 2 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. Foretell 3 black. I mean, this compared to the Saga is kind of a yikes, isn't it? Contagious Fear. 2 black black sorcery. Choose a creature type. Each creature other than the chosen type gets -3/-3 until end of turn. There isn't... Or each creature type other than the chosen type. What? Okay. I mean, I don't really think you would play this instead of Extinction Event, especially at double black. However, you could play this in like your elf sideboard, yeah. That's pretty gas. Wait, does... How does this work with shapeshifters? I assume your shapeshifter doesn't die. If you're playing elves with shapeshifters, each creature other than the chosen type, but it is an elf, so it will not die. Okay. I was wondering, like, if it said each creature type other than the chosen type, would that mean the shapeshifters die? Because no beats yes, right? That would mean that your shapeshifter elves would die. But it doesn't say that, so whatever. I mean, this card will see play, right? Obviously. It just depends. I expect the Extinction event would still be the most played black board clear. But you'll probably have this in your sideboard of elves, man. Why not? Dwarven Hammer. 2 red artifact equipment. When it enters a battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature token, then attach the Dwarven Hammer to it. Gets +3/+0 and has trample, equip 3. So 5 mana, 5/1 trample, and you get a weapon in play. Equip 3 for +3/+0 and trample. I mean, trample is a serious word, guys, but this card is just way too bad. I think the dwarf deck's looking tough. I don't think the dwarf deck's going to make it. When Master Skald enters the battlefield, you may... Although, to be fair, the dwarf deck can play Rally the Ranks, huh? And that card is bust though, man. When Master Skald enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, return target artifact or enchantment card from graveyard to hand. Nope. Gas but 5 mana, so that not gas then, huh? Arnie slays the troll, red and a green. Target creature you control fights up to 1 target you don't control. Stage 2, add a red, put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature you control. Stage 3, gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. I don't know, guys. The add red is pretty cool on stage 2, huh? Because you can... So on turn 3 you can get 4 mana. The problem is... Like, playing this on curve is basically impossible. To get use out of this on curve, you need to play a 1-drop, and you need your opponent to also play a 1-drop that loses to your creature in a fight. And then and only then can you actually abuse this card to ramp on turn 3. Get a 4-drop on turn 3? That's just like, that's impossible, dude. So you don't play it on curve? Well, cards you can't play on curve are terrible, man. If you can't play your card on curve, you can't play your card. It just doesn't go in any decks ever. No cards that can't be played on curve are in any good decks. 0. You don't need to fight, it's up to. Well then why are you putting it in your deck if you're not using the card? BTE? I mean, maybe it's good in Grow, yeah, and in Historic with BTE. But the problem is, again, like BTE would be the only creature in your Historic Grow deck that can fight with this, right? Your Pelt Collector can't fight, your Llanowar Elves can't fight, you've got nothing else. Claim is not played turn 1? It is if they play a Llanowar Elves. It's almost like Ramthra and Primal Might were good. Well, Primal Might is really good because you can play it on turn 2 to use your creature that's like, you can play Pelt Collector on turn 1 and then you can kill a Priest on turn 2, right, with Primal Might. That's why Primal Might's good, and that's why Ramthra doesn't see play and Primal Might does. This card's a scam, dude. Full scam. Maybe you can play it in like John Sack or something, but that seems kind of weird. It's gonna see play? I didn't say it would see no play, but it's a scam. Because not only will you not be able to play a deck that can take advantage of all 3 stages, because stage 3 is so bad, but your deck also, no deck can take advantage of stage 1 very well. And or no decks can take advantage of stage 1 into stage 2 at the optimal time, which is turn 2. You need a 1 mana 2/2 in your deck to use this card. There is the landfall dog, yeah. Play dog, play this, fight, ramp to a 4-drop. Maybe. It triggers prowess, yeah. Maybe start playing like Soul Scar Mage and Historic Gruul, possibly. That's pretty gas. You don't mind adding some counters to your Soul Scar Mage, huh? That sounds pretty good. You can't ramp to a 4-drop. Mana is only in draw step. What? No, you get to use the mana, dude. Your sagas go off after you draw a card. It's a really nice card for double spells later. Not every card has to be played on curve. Yes, it does. Not every card has to be played on curve in an individual game, but every single card in every single deck must have the opportunity to be played on curve, or else it doesn't belong in your deck. You don't have to play it on curve, but you have to be able to. If your deck has no way to play this on turn 2, then it cannot go in your deck. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to play it on turn 2 every game, but you have to be able to. But I don't mind it in Historic Grow though. like with Soulscar Mage and BTE, right? That's 2 creatures that can use the fight. And I mean, I'm sure you can make Gruul be able to use Soulscar Mage fine. It's a cool card. And it seems a lot easier to make it work in Historic, though. I don't know if there's any way to make it work in Standard, though. Because again, you need a 2 power, 2 toughness, 1 drop to be able to play this in Standard. That sounds hard. I think there's only one, right? And there's only that beast that bounces your lands. Burning Tree Emissary is not in Standard, no. If it was, I think you'd see a slightly different meta than you currently see. The one you can play this on curve with the 1/1 Death Touch Elf. Well, but that's what we're saying though. That the creature has to be able to survive, or else, if you're going to play a creature that dies to the fight spell, like, then sure you solve this stage 1 problem, but then you just open up a stage 2 problem where you're not getting to use your 2 counters. If you can cast this card on turn 2 and you get a fight into counters on your 1-drop, this card is completely gas. So trying to use it in any other way is just dumb. That's the best way to use the card, right? And obviously you can just use this later on in the game too. But you have to be able to do that if you're going to play it in your deck. You've got to have a 1-drop that survives fights, and then you just get to put your counters on it. You get to add mana. You play a 4-drop on turn 3. You play another 4-drop on turn 4. And that sounds like a 1 game to me, because their 1-drop's dead. Their 2-drop is not going to be able to compete at all with your 1-drop that has 2 counters on it. On turn 3 you're playing a 4-drop, they're playing a 3-drop on turn 4. Like, that wins games, man. That completely and utterly wins games. So that's how you should be trying to use the card. You're just overpowering your opponent on every single turn if you play a 1-drop that can fight into this. Your opponent can't do shit about that. If they're playing creatures. If they're not, then you're sideboarding this out, right? I mean, you could do Fervent Champion, maybe, if fight spells used first strike, but they don't, so rip. Or rippers. It's bad, please move on. No, this is a game-winning card that you just have to build your deck to win the game with it. This card is insanely powerful. This card and a well-statted 1-drop gives you like supreme advantage of the game in the first 4 turns. And that is enough to win a game of Magic. It's absolute gas. But you need 1-drop creatures that win fights. That's the difficult part. Nico defies destiny. Gain 2 life for each foretold card you own in exile. Add blue and white. Spend this mana only to foretell cards or cast spells that have foretell. What does foretell cards mean? Does that mean use this mana to foretell cards from your hand or to flip foretell cards that are in play? Use this mana to foretell. It means from hand, right? So you basically get to foretell one card for free because they cost 2. It means either? Oh, okay. Return target card with foretell from graveyard to hand. So stage 1 is nothing, stage 2 is... I mean, you get a lot of value from this card. It's just so goddamn slow, man. It's like... It is utter greedlord, isn't it? There's no way that's good enough. Or you're going to need a seriously slow meta for it to be good enough. Gates of Istfell. Tapped white source, and for 5 and a sack, gain 2 life, draw 2 cards. It's not terrible, is it? It's honestly not terrible. I will be shocked if that doesn't go into any decks ever. But this card has to go in some decks, right? Surely. This is like an easy 1 or 2 of in Gandalf deck, innit? Sure. I mean, I think this sees play for sure. For sure. Cosima God of the Voyage and the Omen Keel. 3 mana, 2/4 legendary creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosima. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Cosima is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return Cosima to the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it and draw X cards where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. What? 3 mana, 2/4. And on any of your upkeeps, you can exile it. Okay. So you kill your own creature. And then when you play a land, you can add a Voyage counter to it and nothing happens. Or you can not. And then you get it back and draw 1, huh? Oh no, you draw 0. I mean, like, this is a powerful card, guys, but if you think about it for real, what deck is your opponent playing where you can, like, really take advantage of this card? Like if you're playing against a Gruul, you cannot exile your own creature. If you're playing against, if you're playing some sort of Gandalf mirror, especially post sideboard, a 2/4 creature is fucking strong, man. So, like, after you exile this, it takes, what, 2 turns before you can bring it back? Or, I mean, you can bring it back on the same turn, but it would be pointless. So, but to get an additional benefit, you've got to wait 2 turns, right? From the turn that you exile it. You can return it, and then exile it again, and it keeps the Voyage counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosima. If you do, it gains whenever a land is. I mean, I assume you can't do that, but it doesn't actually say anything that stops you doing that, does it? So you can just do this every turn. You can just exile it, play a land, bring it back. There's no way you can do that, dude. But it doesn't say anything that would stop you doing that, though. It's so weird. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if Cosima is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return it to the battlefield with X+1 counters on it, and draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. So you never lose the Voyage counters, and there's nothing stopping you exiling her again at your next upkeep, right? This just doesn't make any sense. When exile, you lose counters? Well, yeah, I mean, I know that there's no way that you would be able to do it like that, but it's just weird that it doesn't say that. It's weird that it doesn't explicitly say it. Plays with Passage well. The Magic the Gathering plays with Passage well, man. I just don't know what deck I want my opponent to be playing to use this card, man. I don't know what deck I want to be playing to play this card. This card goes in Gandalf. I don't know, man. Standard Gandalf decks are Yorion decks, and the Yorion does what this does, but way faster. Yorion is already drawing like a an unstoppable amount of cards like that's kind of growing as the game goes along. And this just does, I don't know, man. So the Omen Keel is a 2-mana artifact. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play lands from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled. Nothing's whatever in it. Replaces CROKEYZ. No, it doesn't. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't at me, chat, but this card's not that good. It's a great boat, no denial. I just have no idea where I would ever play this card, man. Ramp boat? No, but you can still only play one land a turn, right? You can't just play all the lands. You don't just mill 3 lands and ramp to fucking 6 on turn 2. This is a hard one, guys. This card is not as good as you think it is. I'm just not quite sure by how much. Would this card be good if Yorion didn't exist? I mean, the card is pretty good, yeah. But I just think that what it's trying to do, we've already got stuff that does that better. Like Yorion, for example. Not only Yorion, though. Like, think about the type of decks that get played right now. It's like, it's Gruul, which has endless card draw with Henge. It's Yorion, which has endless card draw already. Like, card draw is a solved effect, man. We don't need more card draw. Or most decks don't. Especially blue decks. Blue decks do not need card draw, man. And this is slow card draw. Like the Yorion is an incredible deck, man. It's so strong at what it does, and this first of all would not go in a Yorion deck, and secondly, it would go in like a full Gandalf counterspell heavy deck, right? Where you're playing this out, and then, even if that is a deck, and even if this is in it, I don't know when you can cast this card, man. I don't see it. Then you've got other problems of how do you crew this fucking vehicle? I don't know, man. How is this not playable in mid-range? And what mid-range did? What colours doing what? Sultai mid-range Titan's Nest? I don't know that. I think the main problem with this card is that whatever deck you're trying to build here to take advantage of this deck, there's already another one that does something better. I don't think you'll see this card that much. Unless there is a really strong Gandalf deck that pushes out Yorion, which is it's just so unlikely to be the case, right? Because Yorion's just such an incredibly strong deck. Alright, we'll look at the comments of that though. I have a feeling that the people are going to say it's the best card since Black Lotus. This card is just neat. That the word neat and blue players fucking kill me, man. The Omen Keel does commander damage, right? Don't know, mate. Not got a clue. Not got a clue. This is it. This is my mono blue commander. Brilliant. Bum, 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 bum. This card is busted. Staple. Staple of what, dude? Staple these nuts. Alright, guys. I'm gonna give the final word on this card. This card is good. The deck that this card goes into is unplayable. Next. Scorn Effigy. 3 mana artifact creature Scarecrow. Foretells 0. That's kind of weird. Foretells 0 for a 2/3. What? It's a 2 mana 2/3 on turn 3. Well, I mean, you can play it on turn 2, right? Card's weird. Card's weird. Goldmaw Champion. 2 and a white for a Dwarf Warrior. Boast for 2. Tap creature. Yeah, Dwarfs are looking yikes, man. 4 mana, 3/3 Dwarf. Boast 3. Put a +1/+1 counter on tap. That seems kind of strong. Not for constructed though. Fearless Liberator. 2 mana, 2/1. Boast 3. Make a 2/1. Nope. Vault Robber, 2 mana, 1/1. And for 1 and a tap, exile a creature, make a token. Nope. Tundra Fumarole, 1 red, snow sorcery, deal 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Add colorless for each snow spent to cast this spell. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Guys, like, why can this not go face, man? It's so tilting. Why can it not go face? Zero mana, deal 4? Yeah, sometimes, man. Sometimes 0 mana, deal 4. You have to be able to spend 3 colorless though for it to be 0 mana, huh? It's not that easy to spend 3 colorless mana, let me tell you. Looks decent though? Maybe. Maybe as decent. Guys, I've just dropped my earphone, man, my headphone. And because it's not attached to a wire, I don't know where it is. For fuck's sake. Where did it go? It's disappeared. Hello? Like, there's nothing below me. It's just floor, but it's literally not there. What the fuck is going on? Buy a string to not lose them. Alright guys, I'm gonna hide for a second because I'm gonna look like a Pepega. But you can dodge looking like a Pepega by turning off the camera. Okay, where is it though? Man, it's completely disappeared. This is impossible. What the fuck? Oh, it's not here. Guys, there's nothing. It's in my ear. Okay, you made me touch my ear there and I'm triggered. It's not in my ear. Okay. That's fucked up. It's actually not there. Oh. Okay. Well, I have literally never been more confused in my life. How can it just disappear? I'm gonna check my hood. It's almost impossible for it to be in my hood, but it's not there. Close one. Alright, whatever, we continue on. I'll find it later, I guess. It's on the chair. No, it's not. Alright, Not Vold Slumber Mound is a land which enters the battlefield tapped. How the fuck did it? Makes no sense. It makes no sense. It is literally not on the floor. Alright, I found it, guys. Solved. Sherlock Holmes has solved the crime. Got it. I found it. It was actually camouflaged behind one of my wires. I don't know how it got behind the wire though. That is another mystery for another time. Notvold Slumbermount. Add red. Don't worry, you didn't look foolish at all. I know, man. That's fine. So 3 red, green, green. That is 6 plus a sack for 7. Create a 4/4 troll. 7 mana, 1 troll. That seems expensive. But it's sadly bad. Alright, that's all the cards, guys. And destroy a land? What? What are you talking about? Oh, and destroy a land. Ah. I mean, still, guys, like, that's, who gives a shit, really? Read the card? I did read the card. I mean, it's bad, right? Bad. Destroy 5 lands, not 1. Alright, you're telling me.